third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rick hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! To right field, way up there, and way out! Second
Well, the stupid money is back as the Phillies have put the money out once again, this time to bring back Kyle Schwarber. 5 years, $150 million. I think larger than everyone thought and preferred, but that is the price of doing business. And a little surprising, the Phillies, the offers that were leaked, it was the Phillies in a bunch of small markets. We're talking about Baltimore, who matched them at 150.
The Mets were in there.
Okay, they were. I didn't see their offer.
Three for 120.
Hometown Red getting 3 for 120. Okay, so they were in there too. The Hometown Reds were 5 for 125, and the Pirates were 4 for 120.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the price of doing business. Baltimore was the biggest offer. Definitely a little interesting. But yeah, I mean, they bring back Kyle Schwarber. We know he led the offense in pretty much every category outside of stolen bases and average last year. We knew there would be issues if they didn't bring him back. Where are you going to get that power production from? But now you're going to have 3 players. And if JT Realmuto comes back 4, that you have into the twilight years of their 30s. And I just don't know how that looks. But what I will say is, you better win a World Series within the next 2 years, because it's going to get ugly fast with how old this roster is going to get.
Yeah, I don't love the years. I don't love the 5 in front of it. And I read, I think it was Charlotte Vern's article on The Athletic. She kind of pairs with Gelb now to write articles. And I think John Heyman said it too. So they went up to match Baltimore, which one we'll talk about the other team in the division a little bit, but we got a chance to match, or Schwarber let us match, as opposed to some people. But it makes me, they're operating the right way. Like, yes, they signed him for 5 years, but it seems like they started either under the 150 or under the 5, and then they went up to match. They said Schwarber was a priority, like you said, replicating that power. The concern for me is you're buying high on a guy that, in terms of producing again like he did last season. I'm not saying Schwarber's going to automatically hit 20 home runs again. Like that, he's not that guy. But you're probably not going to get 57 and 120, 130 RBIs, whatever he had.
Yeah.
So you're buying at a guy's absolute peak when he doesn't have versatility in terms of where you could play him, where you can move him, really where you could hit him in the lineup, because he doesn't like to hit certain places, or numbers are better in certain places than other. But looking at the free agent class, there's no one out there with the ability to replicate even a lower production year than what Schwarber gave you this year. Yes, Kyle Tucker's there, but it's the same thing. If you're getting Kyle Tucker, you're still having a guy that's going into the twilight years of his late 30s. He's 29 now. So he wants 10 for 500. So you're giving up, the end point of the same amount of years and more money along the way. And I feel like, looking back at how I talked in the perfect offseason, I rambled about it. No one really knows what contract structure or salary cap or anything looks like beyond the CBA. So I think they're a little bit hesitant to hand out that 10-year deal. So I'm curious, especially now that we're out of the running for him, what that Kyle Tucker market kind of looks like. There's a lot of different ways that the rest of the offseason could go. I think the one that we're all dreading is the most likely one, where a lot of what they have now is run back. Unfortunately, I watched Preston Mattingly talk again today, and, they're set on this whole Castellanos is gone thing, change of scenery, whatever that means. Passan has said that Bohm's been the one that's been talked about most in trade. So, like, it seems like whether it's them planting that stuff in the media to try and dangle it out there, the Harry
Make it sound
Ford
like they
trade,
tried. Yeah.
the Harry Ford trade to Washington just drives me insane because why couldn't Bohm, Strom, and a prospect net you Harry Ford and Randy for that
Mhm.
package? Like Jose Ferrer's a mid-tier arm. He's got good stuff, but the numbers are not good. And the Mariners beat writer wrote that they were interested in Strom. So I don't know what negotiations look like, obviously, but like missing out on that would save. Harry Ford would solve a lot of problems. Yes, he's unproven, but I'd take unproven and with pedigree over declining for $35 million that JT is. The interesting aspect of this whole offseason now is the big domino fell with Schwarber. You got your big offensive piece. One, how do you supplement him in the outfield? And two, they're linked to these two Japanese names. They were the pitcher's name, Tatsuya Ima. They're like the only team that I'm really seeing headlines for right now. And his picture is on the front page of a Japanese newspaper today with the Phillies logo. So, they've made efforts the last few years, whether it was Yamamoto or Senga, even they were scouting a bit to try and get this Japanese market. And they're also linked to Kazuma Akamoto, who's a corner player, righty bat. In my opinion, he's a better bat than Munetaka Murakami, who is a lefty that strikes out a ton. If they go after him, Bohm definitely gets moved. And I don't know what it all looks like. I hope they don't just run it back, especially with all these like intriguing lower cost names they're linked to. The issue that I just run into is, like you said, there's a lot of contracts that are going to the late 30s now. So, it's interesting to see how they supplement it because the Romanos and the Keplers and the Corey Knables of the world have not done a good job in terms of supplementing this core. And the core hasn't backed them up in the playoffs either.
Yeah, so just kind of going back to Schwarber, that is the other thing with him being locked into the DH spot now for the next 5 years is Trey Turner and Bryce Harper have nowhere to go as they age. They cannot go to the DH spot. So that makes this more interesting. It is eventually going to cause regression in their defense more than it already has been an issue, even though they were fine defensively. I think this past year they graded out maybe average as a team for once. But that is another concern with this. And, the thing with Tucker is, like you're paying him in his twilight years if you gave him 10 years, but it's not at the same time as Harper and Turner. So, he's kind of a guy that can still be in the last part of his prime when guys like Miller and Crawford and whoever else they call up will be entering there. So there's a little more window there, I guess you could say. Whereas now you got your three big guys at the end of their primes, mostly out of it. Schwarber, I guess, still a little in it. The other two, not so much. And these younger guys that still have not entered theirs. And then a couple middling players like Stott and Marsh. So I don't know. It's a weird part to be with the roster because it's not all on the same page. And I don't know how that translates to wins over the course of 162.
Yeah, I don't understand, like, obviously they're old going forward at this point. Like, the young guys that they have on the roster, in my opinion, like, I like Stott, what he brings. The young guys that are on the major league roster at this second are not in your long-term plans, as far as I'm concerned. Like Stott, Bohm, Marsh, they're bridge players. They're not solutions. I don't know where they go. I like our prospects. I like our farm system. I like Aiden. I still am, high on Painter. He's still the 16th prospect in baseball, according to MLB.com. But, like, at this point, if you're giving Kyle Schwarber 5 years to sit in the DH spot, you've got to push every chip you have into the table. Yeah. And my next call would be Andrew Painter, Bryson Stott and Arun Escobar or whatever it takes to get Ketel Marte. Like, you get a righty bat there because he's a switch hitter that posts, WRC pluses over 160 every year. He's a good enough fielder at a low impact fielding position of second base where you're not too worried about the drop off going from the Gold Glove caliber player that Stott is. Like the bat that Marte has makes up for it, the versatility that he has. He's played center field before. Obviously, you're not going to put him at center field, but then even that, okay, you think about extending Stott. What does a Stott extension look like? Is he, a $15 million player?
Yeah, I was gonna say like 575, like something like that.
Okay, so 5 for 75. Marte's got 4 for 75 on the rest of his contract. When it's time for Stott to get an extension, yes, it's not Stott for Marte 1-for-1. You're, working with giving up a top 20 prospect in baseball. And
yeah, that's harder with the Aaron Nola decline and the Wheeler injury plus end of contract coming up. That's where I think the Painter stuff becomes an issue.
Right. And I don't know how they navigate it, but at this point, like you said, you better win a World Series in 2 years. Then don't worry about what an Aaron Nola decline looks like. I don't know what Andrew Painter contributes this year. I'm still fairly high on him. I think last year his biggest issue was command, and that's kind of the last thing to come back from Tommy John, just getting more reps. So I'm not like, oh my God, Andrew Painter, he didn't have an Andrew Painter kind of year, whatever.
Yeah.
And, we'll talk about that more as the offseason continues and more signings happen. But I'm with you where the number, I'm not worried about the money. And that's me speaking as John Middleton's money is not my money. But I said to, all my friends last night or this week leading up to it, I'd do 3 for 150 before I do 5 for 150. Hearing that, Dombrowski kind of had freedom to build up that same kind of payroll. Obviously 50 against the payroll is a lot different than 30 a year. But the years is just worrisome to me in terms of what these contracts look like at the end. Mostly the handcuffing with DH, there's just no flexibility there at all. So, I don't know. This is an all-in chips on the table move, and you hope the fan base doesn't give a crap what Harper, Turner, and Schwarber look like when they're 40 in wheelchairs hobbling down the line.
Yeah, and another added point to this, they extended the years for Schwarber, so is Real Muto going to ask for more years now?
Yeah, I mean, that's the game. I think there's a bit of a difference because, Schwarber, the calling card's the bat. JT at this point in his career, the calling card is the positional premium that is the catcher spot. And, the ability that he brings to call a game. We see it with catchers as they get to the end of their career. Yachty didn't do it too much, but Mauer moved to first base. JT does not have the bat to move to first base.
Also, they got nowhere to put him.
Right. And now with the whole Schwarber DH for 5 years, there's nowhere for him to go. So he very well might. But I think going into the offseason, out of the two of them, they're both expected to come back. JT was always the one that we were kind of hey, if we could get the hometown discount on it with him, that'd be great. I think Schwarber's market, with how bad the power market is, it was always going to be around this number, unfortunately, in terms of years and money. I think everyone kind of expected it to come to this. JT, even a passing article a few weeks ago, he said the market really wasn't there. So 2 years was going to be the deal. It's 2 years for 30. Again, at this point with this core, I don't give a shit about the money.
Yeah.
It's all about managing the years and figuring out how to make years work.
Yeah, because now, it makes it's harder to reset the core with money coming off. Now, look, $38 million is going to come off after the year in some capacity, whether these guys are traded or whatever they do with Castellanos and Walker. And then what is Wheeler at? Like 38 a year?
45,
40,
dude.
45. Okay. That's the following year. So that, that's 83 million coming off in 2 years. Like that's a lot.
And some of it, like depending on how you approach free agency, like,
and if you trade Bohm, I think he was 10 in ARB,
something like
projected.
that.
Yeah,
around 10. So like if you like sacrifice the Castellanos return, again, I don't even know what it would look like if you 8, 10, 15 of the 20 million. If you're just like, dude, give us your 35th ranked prospect that has like a plus fastball and just take this 20 million. Like the way, and at this point we're kind of over the 5-year marriage with them. So we're like, holy shit, 20 million for this guy again. But in the grand scheme of it, we signed Max Kepler to, 10 million, Jordan Romano to 10 million. There's really no such thing as a bad 1-year contract because it's, a gamble that's coming off the books. At this point, we've seen 4 years of it. There's no gamble. We know what Castellanos is.
Yep.
But like you can convince the Royals maybe like, hey, gamble on this guy. See what he does in he's had success in those big cavernous AL Central stadiums like Detroit or he could just hit doubles all day. Try and convince a new front office that hasn't dealt with them for 4 years that 20 million for the production that you get from him isn't a bad gamble to make.
Yeah, I guess so. And we'll see how this outfield shakes out because if they're already counting on Castellanos being out, you're pretty much at, I think I said this too when we did the preview, you're pretty much at 0.5 out of 3 outfielders right now because Marsh is the platoon guy and you don't know shit about Crawford. And Bader's gone and Rojas just clearly is not going to be a thing. So you're at 0.5 out of 3. So, I don't know where the other 2.5's coming from. There's really nothing there yet.
Yeah, so no. The whole Rojas experience, I think, is dead. Like,
does he have any value to get them anything?
No.
Like anything? Like a 7th inning reliever?
No, I don't know if we get him a 5th inning reliever.
Damn.
Although, hey, the Mets said that their focus is trying to prevent runs. Call him up.
All right.
That's their guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the Mets a little bit. Interesting offseason for them. So they trade Nimmo for Marcus Semien.
Yeah.
Who wins that? Like, what is that deal to you? I can't wrap my brain around it. I don't understand it.
Texas, when you're trading, and yes, Nimmo is a bad fielding center fielder, so they moved him to left last year. You could hide him on a corner. Obviously, he's not the best fielder. He's productive at the plate, man. And maybe that's just me, dealing with him, killing the Phillies and pissing me off every time he runs down the baseline on a walk. But like he is a Philly killer, and overall he produces productive seasons at the plate. I know they have a ton of lefties in New York already, so they were trying to get rid of him. And like I just joked about Rojas, like they're trying to prevent runs because they did not do a good job fielding last year, and he contributed to that. But like Semien is declining for sure. Like looking at the numbers, he's not the MVP top 5 finisher that he was a few years ago. At a low premium position, he runs the bases well. He's still pretty quick. He could steal bases, but like the hitting stats and stuff, to me, it's just a huge drop off, and you're trading like one non-premium defensive position for another. So just take the better hitter at that point. The contract wasn't great for Nimmo. I get it, but they're not like, and it's day one. They could still go get Tucker and Framber and like shove it down my throat for this statement, but like they haven't knocked it out of the park with these big signings. It's almost like Stearns is still operating as if he's in Milwaukee and doesn't have Steve Cohen's checkbook.
Yeah, I know the Diaz. I know Kyle Schwarber is happy to see Diaz gone, but of course he's on the Dodgers. So, yeah, I don't know. headed for a lockout now that the top reliever on the market went to the Dodgers.
And the one, like, it's funny because, the Steve Cohen came in and tried to change the culture with the Mets, and like overall he's definitely shifted it in the right direction. But like their old hitting coach was on Instagram today clowning them, like laughing because Diaz signed with the Dodgers, and then Diaz said that he wasn't happy with the Mets because they fired pitching coach Jeremy Hefner, and he didn't even give the Mets a chance to match. The Mets offered him 3 for $66 and said there was room to go up with good deferrals there, whereas he was just like, nah, I'll take the $1 million more a year. And like realistically, he's taking $1 million more a year to go have a guaranteed closer role in Los Angeles, whereas the Mets just signed Devin Williams. He's getting a guaranteed closer role to live in Los Angeles on a team that's won back-to-back World Series. It's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't give the Mets, the little brother of their own city, the chance to match that either. It's a pretty good gig out in LA, but like, it's still funny to see all the reports where it's like, yeah, the Mets wanted to offer him more money and he didn't give him a chance.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with them. I don't know what the Braves are going to end up doing either. They've been very quiet. They usually are, though. You don't get a lot of rumors out of them. And then finally, so there was that rumor that came out about Mackenzie Gore today with the Phillies.
I'm in.
Okay, who are you trading?
It's going to be like the same package we gave up for Luzardo last year.
I don't think so.
You think?
Dude, I think that they'd ask for Miller.
Luzardo was like a year removed from a top 6 Cy finish.
I mean, Gore was an all-star. They're not going to give him away.
So was
Odubel Herrera.
Odubel Herrera was an all-star too, dude. Cy Young, top 6. Luzardo had like a 2.7 game 1 starter.
If they're thinking about trading him, they want a haul. I just don't see what would they give them. They'd want Miller or Crawford.
Dude, Luzardo got traded off of a team where he started game 1 in a playoff series. The Nationals didn't win 70 games last year.
I think the Nationals are a better run organization than the Marlins.
They're in like a lawsuit to sell the team.
Still, like I think they're a little smarter. I don't know. I think they're gonna ask for a haul. I don't think this is as clear cut Dante Nori as you think it is.
Mike Rizzo's still there, right?
No.
He's gone.
Yeah, he got fired. I only know this because he did like an open bar at one of the bars in Navy Yard, and I had some friends that went to it to say thank you. Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, I don't know. I just like in terms of like counting stats, stuff like that. Like, yeah, he was an all-star, but other than like strikeouts, like he's never had an ERA season that's as good as Luzardo. I don't know the underlying metrics. I know
maybe Arun Escobar and like Gene Cabrera can get that done.
I know that the price tag at the deadline last year was extremely high in their negotiations with the Cubs. So maybe you're right. Maybe I'm being a little naive, but like, I don't know. I think my guess was Arun and maybe like another, top 10 or like top 15 prospect. Which, like, I don't know. I don't want another lefty.
That's my other thing. Because the two righties are the ones declining.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But, like, okay, another lefty. Meanwhile, you're losing Ranger, who was a lefty. So, like, yes, you'd still have 3, but you'd still have 3, and you just operated as if you just operated the last how many years with 3. So, like, I don't know.
I wonder if that does open up trading Painter then for
trading Painter,
Buxton, or Ketel Marte.
Gage Wood. I mean, you have Gage Wood in the system. Matthew Fisher was a projected 2nd-round pick, and he fell to 7th because nobody wanted to sign. It's like you have talented right arms in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Prospects are fun. Prospects are fun to project. Alec Bohm was the number 3 pick in the draft and became a slap hitter. Bryson Stott, Adam Hazley was the number 7 pick in the draft and was, a very high prospect in our system. Yes, prospects can project to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And Mackenzie Gore by no means has been great in the major leagues, but like the development system that the Phillies have like in place right now between Brian Barber, Preston Mattingly, who's now the GM, but like all those guys are kind of still overseeing things in the development and stuff. And the pitching lab that we have down in Clearwater now, like there are so many more resources than they have in the Clentac and McPhail era of drafting and developing talent. Like they've shown me between some of the trades that they've made, like I'm good on selling some of these prospects like Arun and Matthew Fisher. Painter, it's got to be a haul. Miller, it's got to be like you got to be getting like a Ketel Marte talent for me to be like, yep, do it.
Yeah.
Like Mackenzie Gore, dude, if you want Arun Escobar, sure, I'm good. Because like, yes, Arun projects to be great. You didn't know who Arun Escobar was before March of last year. Like these guys pop in high A, double A.
Yeah, I mean Kaba did, and then he had a horrible year with the Marlins last year.
Dude, prospects are like a landmine. You can get hooked on one, and then like they could be gone the next day. So like if the right deal, and like you said, if it starts with Miller for Mackenzie Gore, no thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're like a Rune and a mid-tier, like top 15 guy, I'd be hard pressed to say no to that.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens the rest of the winter meetings and up till Christmas, and then after the new year up until pitchers and catchers report. Obviously, this is such a drag, but big one out of the way, maybe a little too big, but is what it is. So we'll be back next time there's something to talk about.